We just need to find nets that actually fail.
I mean, if that's the best advertising you come up with, we don't make nets that fail, like, I think that's pretty darn good.
This is Matt with Sunrise Yacht Products. I'm here with David and Amy with Out Chasing Stars.
Let me jump in real quick. These two bought Sunrise Nets a year before posting this blog in 2014. We met up with them at the 2023 Annapolis Sailboat Show, where they shared their user experience to date. Now back to David and Amy.
And now bringing Maintenance ROS out. They're just here to share their experience and good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully it's more of the first.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good. So we've had the boat for almost 9 years now,
Yep.
and the intention was we wanted to do a circumnavigation, which means we have to have stuff that's actually going to be reliable, comfortable, working well on the whole boat for the entire time. So that was being up here. This was the safety thing for me, like being up front, working on the sails. Like I wanted something I was going to be comfortable on, but then also we could lounge on whenever we were in some place tropical.
Nice and comfortable and easy to use for sure. So in the tropics, when it's really warm, you get like the ventilation coming up from the trampoline, which makes it extra nice. Now right now, it's a little chilly.
Just means it's super effective what it's doing.
It is super effective. It's too effective.
One thing I'd like to ask is, I believe you replaced the nets early on. A lot of people replace their nets when the nets go bad on the boat, but you did yours in the first year. What was the reason for that?
The biggest reason, we crossed the Atlantic with the net that came from the Fountaine Pajot factory, and it was a much wider weave, and it was not very comfortable to be standing on. And then when I had to come up and work on the sails in the middle of the Atlantic and I got a toe stuck in the net, I was like, nope, nah, that's not gonna work. That could just pitch me right overboard. So it became a pretty big priority to find something that was safer, more comfortable, and still capable of like shedding all the water that we wanted.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess it did that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the net stayed with us for the next 8 years and been around the world. And
it's definitely taken on a lot of water, and it's been used a lot, you know, with guests on board just having a good time and hanging out on the boat, and us walking around doing sail changes and maintaining the boat. It's really worked out very well. It's comfortable.
Awesome. How many miles has this net been? Do you have any rough idea?
I think it's about 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, between going all the way around the world, up and down the East Coast a few times. So the miles add up very, very quickly.
These are white nets. We're seeing a lot of people going to black nets for ease of seeing through. Do you have any opinion on that?
It's a bit of a mixture for me between the aesthetics, and I do really like the fact that the white net ties into the rest of the boat. But I have noticed, like in certain situations, if the light's just right, it can be a little trickier to see through this net to get down and see the anchor. So that's when base gets down a little low and I can get a better shot through. So there is some truth to the fact that it's a little harder to see through the white, I think, but it's all a balance. Everything on a boat's a compromise.
Fair.
I mean, our white does look great, so.
You're taking good care of it.
I don't have to make a choice for another 4 or 5 years. So.
If someone was looking to get a net now, what are the parameters that would be important?
Well, I think comfort is one of the big ones, because this is like the area on the boat where we're hanging out when we're, you know, sitting with the beautiful beach in front of us when it's not quite cold in Annapolis or something like that. So being able to be up here and lounge comfortably is certainly important. But as I was saying earlier, like safety is also another big one for me, and that's in 2 respects. Is one, when you're out sailing and you're in the waves, there can be quite a lot of water that comes up here. So we wanted a net that was going to be able to shed that quickly, weren't carrying excess weight up here, you know, that kind of thing was definitely important. But then also my ease and ability to move around on the net safely, securely, that made a big consideration for me as well.
Now, you didn't get to experience it, but a lot of the factory nets we see failing in the 2-year range in charter, 3 to 4 year in private use. We're at, I believe it's right at 9 years right now. And do you see any need to change the nets in the near future?
I personally don't. Like, I mean, we still walk around on it. It's super comfortable. There's no like rips or gaps or anything that's been developing in it. So, I mean, I think, you know, it shows its age a little bit with, you know, some dirt that I can come in and clean out. But other than that, I mean, it still feels as nice as it did when we installed it.
I think that especially our guests, like our friends and family who come to visit, they really enjoy being out on the trampoline, and that's a fun aspect of cruising for them. So if we're taking them sailing, then they're lounging out on the deck if it's safe, but then like sundowners on the trampoline is huge. Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is, you know, we have plenty of friends with catamarans who have like the factory nets or the much wider weaves. And if we sit on those nets, like you're left with some pretty serious lines sitting on those, which isn't very comfortable after a long period of time. So this has, I think, a nice kind of mix of support for lounging and enjoying, but then again, still being able to shed the water quickly when we need it, when we're sailing.
So this is 3/8 offshore. This is our most popular cruising net. It's built to be open enough for circumnavigation, but closed enough so it's at least comfortable. On this type of net, since we're getting in the 9-year range, it's time to start talking about how you know when the net is going to need to be replaced. Now this is quite a ways off. This particular material should be good in the tropics for 12 to 14 years, but what you would want to be looking for on this is any almost crispiness in the fibers. They should remain pliable. What you want to look for is wear along the border. Some threads breaking is not going to be an issue. There's multiple layers of stitching in here internally. So what you're seeing here is almost aesthetic. This is a PTFE thread. It's not going to be damaged by UV. So you would have to have substantial damage on the border before there's the beginning of any safety risk. On some nets, you need to be very careful with the fibers. So there are some types of nets where if a tear starts, it can zipper, and what I call a catastrophic failure. This particular one will never do that. We have never seen a catastrophic style failure. You might have a single strand break or two. Once you do that, you will want to patch that up a little, but that will not run. If strands break for reasons other than mechanical impact, so say a knife or a really sharp anchor, that's a really good time to be taking a good look at your net, because these strands should not break and you're probably in need of a new net. This net would generally need to be replaced for aesthetic reasons before it needs to be replaced for structural reasons. So you'll see wear along the border. You'll see eventually, probably in 4 years, you'll start to see some threads come loose, and then you'll probably want to change it for aesthetic reasons.
Always good to know.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we're in Annapolis, the view is a ton of boats, but you're picturing the tropical beach and the blue water and stuff like that. I mean, this is where you want to be.
Hey again. We want to give a big thank you to David and Amy for bringing us aboard their home and sharing their experience with our nets. All nets are not created equal, and we hope that this video has helped illustrate that for you. Check the links below for David and Amy's current projects or to learn more about our nets. Safe sailing, y'all.